Hi, everyone. So great to see everybody this morning for our second Connected Wellbeing Initiative event. And this one is a super special one because it's our first one where we're having coffee together. Hopefully you got some of your treats ordered, and we'll be focused on really celebrating our youth leadership and all the projects. So one of the themes that we think is really common across all of the projects, programs, organizations, and our Connected Wellbeing Initiative Impact Studio. So I think we're going to have a great interactive program, and welcome to all of the organizational and program leaders and young people who are joining us today. So I think a few just housekeeping things. We are recording the session so that folks who weren't able to attend will be able to view later. Just feel free to let us know if you have any concerns, if you'd like us to edit anything out, or you want to be off camera. And I think I'm going to hand it over to Alexis to describe the program today.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Excited to have you. Today you'll have 4 facilitators, myself, Alexis Alberti, Colin, Remy, and Mimi, who just spoke. You'll also be hearing from 6 of our Impact Studio teams, all of them doing some really cool, really creative work. And so I think now we're actually going to have those org leaders introduce yourself. If you want to just introduce your program, how your youth are taking on leadership roles within it, and then what youth participant is actually joining us today. So we'll go ahead and start with, give us the floor right at the top.
Okay, I guess I have to unmute myself. So hi, everybody. So give us the floor. We help LGBTQ teens in distress via supportive group chat. They are online. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Would it be possible to mute when you drink? Just I'm hearing like. So we have them via supportive group chats. They are group chats online. There are between 12 and 15 of them, and 1 or 2 teens are trained to be facilitators. We have also a whole program when the good facilitator have been with us for a little while, they can become senior facilitators, which take an overall, they get additional training and they have more responsibility. And when they age out of a program, because we serve right now only 13 to 19-year-olds, they can become what we call junior adult advisor, which require even more training and more more responsibility. And today we have Julia that joined us, who is one junior facilitator, junior adult advisor. She's been with us for, I don't remember, Julia, you have to tell me, but maybe 5 or 6 years. And she started as a participant, went as a facilitator, a senior facilitator, and a junior adult advisor.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. I think we're going to pass the mic over to Experience Craft. Again, if you want to introduce your program, how your youth are taking on leadership roles within it, and then the youth participant that's here with you today.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Pratt. I'm here with Josh Landay and Thomas Feltz. Experience Craft is a joint Minecraft and Discord server serving grieving youth, really rooted in expertise from 2 nonprofits. Josh is coming from Experience Camps, which provides in-person programming to grieving youth across the country. I think they're up to like 6 or 7 campsites now, which is really awesome. And Connected Camps, where Thomas and I are hailing from, which provides a lot of not in person, but virtual youth programming with a focus on social emotional learning, community building, and all that good stuff. Thomas is here with us, similar to Valerie's, I forget the name of the member of your team joining, but Thomas actually started with Connected Camps as a camper and then became a volunteer and then became a camp counselor. And so we're excited to let him share a little bit as we kind of go through this panel as well about that journey with Connected Camps. And then other ways that youth step up with Experience Craft. We have a community ambassador program within the community where members campers themselves actually step into mentorship roles. We have high school volunteers, we have adult volunteers, and Thomas, we have camp counselors. Josh, did you want to add anything?
I just want to add that we also have a youth advisory board at Experience Camps that helps to advise us on everything we do, including our, you're right, Matthew, 7 camp locations, 13 programs across the country, including one in Hawaii that kicks off this weekend. So they advise us on camps, and they've played a key role in helping us to expand beyond camp, beyond the bunk, to include Experience Craft. And that were some of the key folks who pitched in on our pilot last summer.
Awesome. We are excited to have you experience craft. We're going to go ahead and pass the mic over to YR Media.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nana Boateng. I'm a curriculum and learning manager at YR Media, specifically with our Teach YR team. And YR, we are a technology and music training center and platform for emerging youth content creators. So we're working with students ages 14 to 24 to really feel like that they can share their voices through different like multi-medium content, whether that's audio, video, anything. And at Teach YR, we're like the public learning division. So we're bringing curriculum, events, and rigorous research to young creators, but also their educators so that they know how to engage with them and sharing their narratives in different media forms. So I've got our production assistant, Zion, here today to talk about her experience. She's been with our Teach YR team, I think for the last 2 years, but she's been at YR since high school, and she's now like a lovely, wonderful, brilliant college student. So yeah, excited to have her share her knowledge with you all. Oh, and I guess I'll share our youth take on leadership roles by helping co-create our curriculum, and also just by producing stories and content that get featured not only on our website, but through national news outlets. So a lot of our youth have been featured on NPR, the Washington Post. A lot of their work is just getting out there and to share the youth perspective. And then we also have a National Youth Advisory Board where that is a cohort of students who give really great feedback to us and also help produce really cool pieces, but I can share more about that later. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nana. Some really awesome work. I think we'll pass it over to Listo America now. Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Muted, Bill.
Oh, I thought I did. Anyway, here I am. Listo America, I'm the executive director of Listo America. Listo America is a nonprofit founded in Orange County, California. And we're part of the Clubhouse network out of MIT, Boston. And Listo America started as a focus on underserved youth to accelerate their interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we pretty much focus on the local community, which is primarily a Latino, Mexican American community. Most of them have parents that are immigrants from Mexico. Many do not have any exposure to STEM. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to get our youth excited about STEM. We run an after-school program. Our after-school program right now is usually the typical hours from say 2 to about 7 o'clock in the evening. And we have mentors on the program, primarily many of them from industry, who come out to help us, encouraging youth to work on their projects. Now, the leadership role that their youth play is totally up to them. We provide a lot of technology, toys, and so on. And what we say is, you follow your own interest. If you want to work on a project that has to do with video or music or robotics or whatever, it's you make that decision, you form the team. Now, we'll have facilitators in there to help you, but they're not running the program. It's you, the youth, who are running the program. And they make their own leadership decisions and so on and so forth. We're there primarily to facilitate and to support the youth. Right now, we have a clubhouse. We call them clubhouse, and the youth are called members. We have a clubhouse in California and also in Mexico City. And what's interesting is, since many of our members are Mexican Americans, this has been a super opportunity for the clubhouse members in Mexico City to work with a clubhouse member in California on a project together through Zoom, that kind of a thing. And it's fabulous. It's amazing. The Mexican kids want to learn English or perfect their English. The Mexican American kids here in California want to perfect their Spanish. Then they have a project working together. So it's kind of exciting, and they're all STEM type projects. So we're excited. We have basically 3 kinds of programs, which we call the Listo America Sin Fronteras, without borders. That's the one I just described. Then we have Listo America Remotely, which is we're trying to get some programs online for members that cannot make it physically. And thirdly, we have Listo America To Go. Listo America To Go means that some school or some institution wants us to come in and provide a program for them. I think that gives you a sense of who we are and what we do.
Hi.
By the way,
Hi, Bill. How are you doing?
We also have Juliana Rosas. I think I saw her on the video on board. She's one of our coordinators. And did I see Yuri?
Yeah, here I am.
Oh, good. Yuri is in Mexico City.
How are you doing, everyone? We also have this clubhouse, Listo America, here in Mexico. And we are now there was 3 phases of it. First one, to bring the program of Listo America to Mexico City. The second one is to grow community. And the third one is to make intercultural interconnection, So I'm so pleasure to be here. How are you doing, Bill?
Thank you. We're excited that both of you are able to join us today too. All right, we're going to pass it over to Novelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna from Novelly. I'm the founder. I also take she, her pronouns. Novelly is a nonprofit that's on a mission to get ebooks published, ebooks specifically by diverse and talented youth authors across the country. And then the second part of our mission is to get those ebooks taught in 8th through 12th grade English classrooms. We've had a lot of young people take on leadership roles, everything from internships. Some students have joined our board of directors over the years. They've been involved in hiring our staff, like as the second or third interview, lots of different ways. And we are super honored to have Maddie join us. So Maddie was actually one of the first students who had ever gotten involved in Novelly in 2019. And so I've known her since she was 12, which is very, very cool to watch her grow through the years. And now she's an incoming senior in high school. Some fun facts about Maddie. We have some uncanny parallels in our lives. We're both Filipino. Her mom is basically my mom. We both have sisters who went to the University of St. Andrews, which is like very strange. That's not a normal thing for any family in California to have. And MDM may or may not join us, another one of our students, but I'm very excited for everyone to hear from Maddie today.
Thanks, Anna. We're excited to have both of you here today too. All right, and last but certainly not least, This Teenage Life.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'll be quick and introduce everyone. This Teenage Life is a youth dialogue and podcasting program. So we started as an after-school club in San Diego, California, and we started with young people sitting around a microphone at a table, and we would have conversations about whatever those young people wanted to talk about, like the big feelings and ideas that they were struggling with or grappling with, but didn't have a place to go with. So we would talk about body image or loneliness, or when people realized their parents were people too. We would record those conversations, edit them, make music, make art, and make a podcast. And then in the pandemic, our audience grew, And now, and we went virtual, and now we run dialogue groups for young people throughout the US and all over the world, and everyone's mishmash together. So, and we have about 6, I'm the only adult, or like, I'm not the only technical adult, but I'm the only person over the age of 25 who works on This Teenage Life. Everyone else is either, most people are teenagers, and then there are a few people who just turned 20 or 21, and one person who just turned 22. So the person who runs it with me on the back end right now is Evelyn, who's our college producer, and she is here. My view has become my face. So, oh yeah, this is better. Hi, Evelyn. Hi. And then we also have Jaden from San Diego, and Mythe, who's here too. And maybe you guys could just introduce yourself and say, in terms of leadership roles, like everything, like everyone who runs it is a youth. So it's all leadership roles for young people, but maybe you can say your name, where you are in the world, and something you work on in This Teenage Life or participate in that feels like a leadership role.
Sure, I'll go first and I'll kick it to you guys. I'm Evelyn, I'm in Rhode Island right now. And I started working for This Teenage Life last year through a program at my college. So I'm like Molly's first college fellow, but we mainly are coworkers now. I work full time for her this summer. And I help facilitate 2 international dialogue groups, edit and produce episodes. And I'm also working with Molly right now on our like greater vision and sustainability plan for This Teenage Life, which is super exciting because I didn't think I'd get to do that as a senior in college. Jaden and Mythe, one of you guys want to go?
Yeah, I'm currently in Providence right now, but I'm from San Diego. And I came into podcasts forming my own little dialogue group that I led on the weekends. Since then, I've joined the bigger USA group. And so I help with the conversations, make sure everyone's included and having a fun time. Right?
Okay, hi everyone. So glad to be here. I'm Maitreyi, but everyone calls me Mythe. I'm in Bangalore, in India, and I joined This Teenage Life probably in 2020 or maybe even before. But I'm part of the international and the Indian dialogue group, and I really enjoy having conversations with everyone, and it's so nice to hear everyone's perspectives in the dialogue groups.
Thank you. Really awesome from a little bit of everywhere, which is really cool to see too. So as you heard from each of our Impact Studio teams that we're spotlighting today, they're putting youth at the forefront of their orgs. And that's what the hope of this panel discussion is too. So the first people we actually want to hear from and like hear their voices uplifted are the youth. So our first 2 questions are going to be specifically for them. I'll also drop the questions in the chat, but feel free, any of the youth that are here, to jump in and answer those questions. We're eager to hear from you. I think if we can start with kind of, not the basic one, but like a little gateway one, but what is your leadership role at your org, and what was the process for learning how to step into that role?
I can start if no one else wants to. So my name is Julia. I'm working with Give Us the Floor. I'm currently a junior adult advisor. And so my main role working with Give Us the Floor is to facilitate some of the group chats that we have. And I'm usually acting as like a temporary facilitator until we get more youth to like step up and take over facilitator roles. So as Valerie mentioned, I joined about like probably 7 years ago when I was like in early high school, and I didn't really know much about the program at the time. And then as soon as I started like getting more into it, I just like fell in love with the whole thing, and I was able to sort of be given these really great opportunities to step up as a facilitator, and then to have more of like an interaction with the actual running of the entire nonprofit. And like I said, now I'm a junior adult advisor. So.
I want to add also, she's on the youth advisory board as well.
I can follow that up. So I have been with Novelly for about 5 years, so I've done a lot of different things. But most recently, I've been a youth ambassador. So basically, what that means is we have the youth that do intensive with like author mentors, and then they write their short stories or like basically books, and then we publish them with us. And then what the youth ambassadors do is kind of promote those. So we've done podcasts, we've talked about it, we've done NaNoWriMo panels with the authors talking about their process, which is honestly, it's really great. I've gotten to meet some amazing people who have also been youth ambassadors, and it's honestly the best time. My leadership role looks more like, it's more collaborative because it's 2 or 3 youth ambassadors talking about like, what questions do we want to ask the authors? What's the best way for us to highlight their personal experience? So it's been really interesting. Yeah, so I think I can't really talk about stepping into the role because I've been Novelly for 4 years going on 5. So I've kind of just grown with it. So it's, in terms of me stepping into the role, it's kind of just been a natural evolution. But I think the leadership is much more collaborative, and we all kind of rely on each other when we're coming up with questions to ask or like different ideas on how to promote and uplift the youth voices.
Through my role on This Teenage Life, I feel that like the leadership that has came has also been gradual, and I think it's come from small steps of simply like being one of the first people to talk or sending in our recordings just to kind of maybe lead the other folks to continue to just help the conversations, and that's led to like these panels and talking to different groups of people about student agency and voices and how that can be really helpful in lots of spaces, from education to creativity.
And to add on to Jaden, I think even the word leader is kind of funny to me because I feel like our structure is so non-hierarchical that even the other day, I think I referred to Molly as my boss, and she was like, I am not your boss. Like, I think we just work together. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. And even though I'm like, I guess slightly older than most of the teens, I still feel like we're on like complete level playing field. I know when I joined last summer, I kind of felt like they were leading me. I remember I sat in on a dialogue group that Jaden is actually a part of, and I was just like kind of a fly on the wall watching like this crazy thing happen of like these people from all across the US just come together to, I think we were talking about like the male gaze or something. It was like such an intense topic, and everyone had so many interesting ideas. So I feel like they kind of led me into like what even is this, and then from there kind of teaching myself how to edit with the help of Molly and like how to produce episodes. And then there was definitely a learning curve on like facilitating the dialogue groups, but I think our like organization, it's so self-selective in that the people who join are so warm and willing to share and be vulnerable that like every random person that's joined, I feel like I kind of already know. I don't know if you, Mike and Jaden, feel that way too, but we've had like some bigger This Teenage Life hangouts recently where everyone's just jumping on from like all around the world, people who've never met face to face outside of the WhatsApp. And like, we just launch into a conversation as if we're old friends. So I think part of learning to lead in this space was trying to figure out how to facilitate like a conversation between friends.
Yeah, I think I really agree with what Evelyn and Jaden said. The thing about This Teenage Life, which makes it so unique and special, is that we're all growing as leaders together by taking that first step and sending a recording. And we don't really have any bosses or anything. And that gives us so much freedom to grow and develop on ourselves. And I think that has really helped me in developing my own leadership skills. Like, I think my communication skills have become so much better and I'm more confident. And so it's like, in a very indirect way, the Teenage Life dialogue groups have really helped me understand who I am as a person, and also has kept it really, casual, but also formal at times. And it's so nice to just burst into conversation with a random person sitting across the world and still feel so connected to them.
Well, hi. I guess without imposing, only listening and solving, I guess, and good ideas grow, and then it's why other members or other people listen to you. You know, I start doing small invents, and then I start teaching others, but not only doing, but how to think to solve it. And then it that grows, you know, that starts growing, and then people start asking you. But I believe that is without imposing, only listening and solving. I guess the leadership grows like that.
నేను లేడు నేను అవసరంగా జాయిన్ అయ్యాను.
Okay, I think we haven't heard from a couple more of the org's youth, and I think we're eager to hear from you all. So if you would like to answer this question, there's one more just for youth. But if you would like to just talk about your leadership role and what the process was for you learning how to step into that role, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. I think for me, like at Experience Craft, kind of the role that I have is kind of like helping to, number one, develop the space, like figuring out, what would be something that the campers would enjoy and what would kind of facilitate, the goals of that space of creating like this comfortable, kind of safe environment. And, number two is moderating that space, figuring out, what conversation everybody having, what interactions are campers having with each other, on the Discord in Minecraft, and how can we facilitate, healthy interactions? How can we facilitate, communication? I think for kind of stepping into that role, it's been ongoing. It's been something that like I've been learning for a long time because I joined Connected Camps as like a camper in like 2016. So, coming up as a camper into being, a volunteer now to kind of, working for the company, it's something that has been super interesting to me because so much of it is learned like kind of as you're going through it. You take your perspective from each previous, I guess, role and you apply it to, your new responsibility because you never want to forget kind of where you came from in the sense of like, you don't want to forget like, how do campers look at the things that you're making and how do they like, how are they seeing the things you're adding? Because obviously you get a lot of perspective and you get a lot of like the internal view, but you can't forget how they're also interpreting it, and you got to always look for their feedback and see, are you sure that the things you're adding are good and all of that.
Thanks, Thomas. I think there's one more, no pressure. But I do think there's one more if you're still there.
Yeah, the tangible actions one.
No, I think there's one more youth that hasn't answered this question.
I have more question. I'm like, wait, a question? What did I miss?
I think it's me.
Yes, hi Zion.
Hi. Okay, so at Teach YR Media, we do a lot of things, mostly like organizing data, organizing outreach. So recently we just had a field trip to the Cal 100 Summit in Sacramento, and we were tabling, telling people about our program. We had iPads so people could answer survey questions and sign up for the program. We were there for probably about the whole day. I was there recording different aspects of the event, so I can make a TikTok video for some promotion for our program. So yeah, that's just the type of stuff I do usually. I also update our website with Squarespace. We have a thing called Blurbs where we get like other news from other youth media organizations, and I just update it from YR, from home. So yeah, right now my position is fully remote. I do come in sometimes, but it's very convenient since I'm in college. The field trip, of course, wasn't remote, but like they let you know ahead of time. When we do have staff meetings, they let you know like ahead of time, like weeks ahead of time. So I feel like it's very ideal. Since, like I said, I'm a student, very ideal, very just very, it's a great position all around. Like I would want to work here forever if I could.
Thanks, Zion. Thomas, you were right. There is one more question. And it's kind of what all of you have been hinting at with your leadership role and the things that drew you to your program. So what are some of those tangible actions or programs that have benefited you the most with the company that you are working with? And again, this question is for youth. So spotlight is on you again.
Okay, I'll go. I would say some of the tangible programs that have benefited me the most was definitely the therapy sessions. We do have our program, YR Media, has like a connection with Sankofa Mental Health Center, I think, I'm pretty sure. And we have like therapists we could sit down and talk to. That benefited me a lot because I was like an angry high school teenager. But when I got to talk to the therapist, like my whole mindset changed. I'm one of the only people in my family who believes in therapy because of that experience. Like literally that is the thing that made me focus, or not focus. That is the thing that made me like really believe in therapy, really made me like see the changes of it. Because I feel like a lot of times when you're a person of color, usually like, you know, people of color usually don't go to therapy. Like there's negative stigmas around it. They feel like it's fake. But I had a Black therapist. She looked like me for the first time. I was talking to people. I was talking to her. I could tell her things. I could like, you know, she was good at what she did. I knew she wasn't going to go tell my business. And that just like opened me up to like mental health and all that. Like I hadn't known about it, but I thought it was like a myth at first. I don't know. But yeah, that was like, that was something that was forever important to me. And even though it was like years ago, that's something that has been near and dear to me. And that is why I do love this program and I stay in this program, because besides, you know, having work opportunities and paid opportunities, they care about our mental health as well. We also have like a grocery program where people can come in and get food. So yeah, those are just some of the programs I have benefited from. The mental health one did mean a lot to me though. And I do encourage, you know, other people of color now to go see a therapist, go talk to a therapist. And really anybody, like anybody who's dealing with anything, men, women, I just tell them you need to see a therapist. And because I feel like that has worked for me and I feel like that could work for other people. And YR is the organization who taught me that.
Some of my favorite opportunities that have came from the podcast has been the different forms of public speaking. When we spoke at the NCTE convention, we were able to meet a lot of specifically adults that either enjoy the podcast, have used it with their students, and it showed me that our audience is really wide. And so it was a really great experience to be in a space where I knew that other people were listening to what I was saying and really taking to heart and wanting to include that, whether that was with like their kids or their students. And as well as I was able to meet like one of my favorite authors of all time because I so happened to be at this convention. And so it's just really opened me up to like a world of like amazing English teachers and professionals in many different fields to hear what they think and their own personal experiences. And so I feel like it's helped me when it comes to speaking on matters that are really important to me and helping me to continue articulating that, whether I'm in class. And it's just really helped me with skills that I can bring on to different parts of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything Jane just said, but for Novelly, what's really, well, two things. First of all, sometimes you just get really sick of talking to people who like don't get it. Like I remember one time I had a phone call and then earlier that day I had a whole conversation with somebody about whether or not India was in Asia, and they fully believed that it was not. And I just couldn't, like I had to like walk away. I was like, I can't do this today. But it's honestly, it's really nice to just be able to like remember that there are other teenagers who think like you and you aren't crazy. That's, I would say, a major benefit of being in organizations for youth. But I think another tangible action has been like being able to other teenagers who are like you to remember that you aren't crazy. But I think another thing is all of the sort of mentors, because again, I've had, I think, 3 different like bosses, some of the college interns, some have been like fellows, but they're all kind of like, they understand that we're teenagers, and they understand that sometimes the first 10 minutes of the meeting will be spent discussing Taylor Swift's new boyfriend. But after that, we will get to work. It's sort of like a level of understanding that we have where it's like, yes, sometimes we will get off track, and kind of allowing us to have like our moments where we're just like a bunch of 16-year-olds on the phone with each other. And then afterwards, they know that we'll talk about like, the prison system, or like what's the best way to kind of introduce like the topic of like immigration, like ask a good question about it with two of our authors, something like that. And honestly, I think just support, but especially just knowing that like sometimes we will just be kind of teenagery and we will move forward past that.
I would like to add on to what Jaden said about this teenage life. Definitely being on the platform has opened up a lot of opportunities, and we got to speak to a lot of really inspiring people. Like we met a naturalist and an author, and those conversations were really fun. And I don't think it would have happened anywhere else. And this was like the best platform to do it. And recently, we started this program where people get to make their own individual episodes, like of their choice. And that was a really fun thing to explore, because all this time we'd been talking in a group, and this time we got to really like connect with ourselves, and also just explore ourselves and use all the things that we learned by speaking together, and try to come up with our own form of a podcast. And maybe, and we're even going to go forward and learn like editing skills and edit them ourselves. So this, by doing so, like we really it's a very holistic experience. You're getting to speak, and you're getting to learn the technical aspects, and you're also getting to interact with a lot of people. So it's really the whole package.
Yeah, I'd also like to kind of echo what everyone else is saying, and also talk a little bit about my experience with Give Us the Floor. I will definitely say I think Give Us the Floor has had a huge impact on just my life and my mental health. I joined it when I was 18 because I was struggling with my mental health a lot. And I know like my siblings were also struggling. And so it was really refreshing to get to talk to a lot of other people who were like me, specifically through the group chats that Give Us the Floor offers in their app. And then when I was moved up to a facilitator role, it helped me learn how I can help other people and how I can interact with other people and make them feel better. And so I think those skills of just learning how to start a conversation about tough topics and allow people the space to open up about these hard topics has really been beneficial to me. It's also just allowed me this chance to meet a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives from all across the world. So definitely has been an amazing experience, and I think the group chats were definitely the most beneficial part.
One thing that's really allowed me, I think, to kind of like grow and be more comfortable in like the role is kind of Connected Camps has these like development cycles, and as a development cycle, one of the kind of people that's doing that developing will be made like a lead dev for that team. And so it's one of those things where it's like that opportunity of being able to kind of like take the reins of the larger group and kind of help set like the course and help touch base with everybody and kind of keep things kind of working cohesively was something that I think really helped me out, because it was kind of this opportunity to get to know everybody better and to work with them like directly in terms of like communicating and kind of looking at the bigger picture and staying focused on that bigger picture as you're going, instead of just being on one feature. It's like what are the goals, what are the what is the long-term planning, what is et cetera. As you're looking at this, it's like what are we trying to do? And so I think it's like that was something that really helped me kind of change my focus from the immediate to kind of that longer term planning, because it forces you into that perspective, because you're kind of leading this group of people. And so I that was something that I really, really appreciated from Connected Camps. And I think it like helped me kind of grow and expand my vision a lot. And so it's like, because you got to keep, you got to keep all those perspectives in mind. Like I was talking about the camper perspective earlier, and you got to keep that in mind too. So it's just really interesting. I liked it a lot.
I think that's all of the youth that I've answered the second question, which is awesome. I think now I'm actually going to pass it over to Remy, who's going to open up the floor for everyone. So now it's not just the youth that get to talk, the rest of you get to chime in a bit too.
Thanks, Alexis. Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. Nice to meet and see you all, and hope you're enjoying your snacks and treats. As Alexis mentioned, this is a question that's open to anyone from the orgs, youth, or adult facilitators. So if you could you talk a little bit about what steps your organization takes to make collaboration between the youth and young people and adults effective? And Alexis dropped it in the chat there, so.
Hey, Remy, this is Billy Sowell from Listo America.
Well,
and how are you doing? One of the things that we notice is, you got adults in the room. Now, our adults are not, they're sometimes almost peer group size, age-wise. I mean, they're college students, particularly college students, who are very helpful because we also use them as role models. And one of the things that we don't use the term boss, manager, among the adults. In other words, we're facilitators. We're more of a facilitator. We're here to help you, but you organize yourself. You pick your own leadership. You're going to work on a project. You make a decision on the project. If you need something for the project, some kind of technology or whatever, you request it to the coordinator in the after school clubhouse, that kind of thing. So there's a very, how should I say, there isn't a line of saying boss, employee, kind of line that as an analogy. It's just kind of mixed in. And the mentors that we train, we tell them, don't act like you're the boss. If anything, you're there to maybe throw out some ideas, that kind of a thing. So that's kind of the line between the adult and the youth in our clubhouse. Did that kind of help answer the question, or did I miss a point?
No, I think that's great. Thanks, Bill.
I can pop in real quick. Hi, Monica from YR Media, TeachWire director, working with Nana and our lovely Zion as well. And I'll just share a little bit that is history that was shared with me, and some of it academic language, but I'll try and keep it friendly and not complicated. But so I came on 2 years ago after finishing my PhD in education equity, and got to meet and work with our lovely colleague, who's now our senior scholar in residence, Dr. Alyssa Soap. But she worked with a colleague that worked at our org many, many years back, and with many of our students, really to build out and develop this framework for the model of how we do our work at YR Media. And it really informs programming in many different spaces, not just Teach YR, of collegial pedagogy. And really, in its most basic sense, is the idea that everyone, when they're coming into a learning space, if the learning space is organized in the right way, I would say in the most positive way and the most beneficial way for all involved, are bringing expertise that should be honored, should be supported. And that's like, I might be bringing the research skills for my PhD, right? But the expertise and the knowledge that our young folks are bringing specifically about their world, their communities, that is the core to what we do and why we started as an organization, for young folks to have the microphone, for us to rally, to get them the supports, the funding, and some of the technical knowledge, but for them to then be able to step into their own power and tell their stories and get them told, on our platform, but then also through partner outlets when they're publishing, stories through NPR or the Washington Post. And I think that's core to what we do. And then so connected to that framework of collegial pedagogy has always been, and Zion talked a little bit about this when she shared how she came up and had been working for, or been a participant and then working now as an employee at YR Media since sophomore year of high school, is that we have the peer-to-peer model, so peer educators. So our students kind of move up through our programming, but then they can get into internship positions where they're peer teachers, and then they're teaching young folks, you know, that are just a few years younger than them. And I think that that's really important too, and allows our young folks that we work with to see themselves right in these positions, and to also see what they're bringing as really valid and core to our work, right? Not just like, oh yeah, let's sprinkle in some youth stories, right? But you all are the core to the work. So that's what I'd like to share from YR. If anyone else from the team wants to chime in or add anything.
I'm happy to share a bit about Give Us the Floor. Something that we do at Give Us the Floor that really helped me get more involved was something called the Youth Advisory Board, which I've been a part of for a while now, where when I was younger and when the other people with me were also in their teens, we would get to learn more about what was going on behind the scenes of Give Us the Floor, things like the numbers, what the plans were for like the app that was coming out and some other stuff. And so getting to actually work like almost firsthand with that stuff as like a younger person was really great. It was an awesome experience, and I did really feel like I was given the floor per se to actually have some effect on the organization.
Thanks, Julia. I'm going to piggyback off of what Julia said. We pretty much everything we do at Give Us the Floor, pretty much, is we really focus on including youth, and so a number of things like the supportive group chats launched in 2018. Shortly before that, we were actually doing work like on the ground in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the shift really to entirely virtual and remote was so that we could have a more be a more effective platform for teens. Our tagline is by teens for teens. So when we made that switch, it started with a conversation with like Valerie and I, but everything that we did, we were really working with teen interns and the youth advisory board. And so I was essentially the architect of the supportive group chats, but I did not do that alone. Every single iteration, we took it to our like teen interns first. And a big part of that in making the collaboration effective was paying attention to what's happening in our teens' lives, like school or on the bigger picture, making sure that we're not asking them to, do things that like during the school day, or, being aware of like when finals are coming up, right? Those kinds of things. So really, one of the things when we started growing and bringing in more adults to support the teens was that we knew we wanted to bring in adults that knew that they didn't know what it's like to be a teen today. So that's one of our big kind of things for the adults, to make sure that we do have that effective collaboration.
I'm glad to jump in next. And thanks to all of you for sharing your ideas. So in thinking about this question of how do we help to facilitate effective collaboration between teens and adults, I want to focus first on three things that I heard some of the people in this conversation say. So Madeline said that it's important to know that there are other teenagers, other people who think like you. Julia said that it's good to give people the chance to discuss hard topics. And then Thomas said, what are the goals and what's the camper's perspective? And so I think we try to meet each of those three things by building quality relationships. And that means, first and foremost, identifying commonalities. So the young people that we work with are all grieving youth, people who have experienced the death of someone close to them, a parent, a sibling, or a primary caregiver. Now, the majority of our staff also identify with grief. And so they're willing to speak openly about those things. And so they're able to find a commonality right out of the gate. I think the second piece of it is demonstrating that we authentically care and demonstrating respect for the ideas that we hear from our youth and vice versa. And then the third piece of it is amplifying the voices of the young people who help to shape our programming. And that's both through the program design. So everything that you see from Experience Camps and Experience Craft is youth informed and in most cases youth built. And then also through public forums. So we want to hear what they have to say, and then we blast it out to the world. So our TikTok had something like 30 million likes last year because it is giving young people the chance to hear from other folks who think like them. So that's our steps for helping to ensure positive and effective collaboration.
I think
okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Molly. Last one, and then I'll ask one more question.
Oh, cool. Oh no, my only response to this question, I was thinking about like, what does it mean? And I think something that resonated with me and is scoping the task responsively, whatever that is. So like if someone in this teenage life, everything's like opt-in, consensual, you can come to a meeting, you don't have to come. What's nice about it being like that is people can just do what they feel like doing. So if someone wants to make a recording for an episode, that's what they do. If they're really into making an episode, we'll help them learn how to edit. If they want to be employed and have a more consistent thing where they have to do something, we'll find a task that matches their need. So I think it's about like scoping the task to what resonates with people in that moment, and that can change over time. And I found that that really helps with figuring out how to collaborate, not just like with young people, but with any people effectively.
And that like totally picks up the last question that I wanted to put out to the group before we split into breakouts in maybe another 5 minutes, which is about division of labor. That like, I think in any collaboration, it's really good to know like what roles different people will take on. And so like, even though this broader conversation is about youth voice and youth leadership, like I'm wondering how, like, are there edges, are there boundaries to that? Are there, to Molly's point, like ways of scoping roles that like allow adults to do things that is actually like more useful for the adults to do that thing, which can then create more space for youth to play the roles that we've heard about today? Is anybody interested in talking a little bit about division of labor and how you've thought about that and encountered that in your work?
I'll just respond and then not talk. But that was a really big thing. So when I was like, should we be a nonprofit or an LLC? I asked, like everyone was like anti-capitalist at that moment in time, and maybe still. And so they were all like, we should be an LLC. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, because we don't want a board. And I was like, wow. And they were like, but we don't want to do any of that stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was kind of interesting. Like, I thought that I had totally different expectations. So that's what we did for now. I don't know what we're going to do next, but it's interesting I think it's really important to like, if people are not going to be employed, which is a different social contract, to figure out how to make learning environments opt in to whatever extent possible is so powerful. And then to do division of labor based on that. So like, and that way, because I think what's problematic, even though it's more quote unquote real in terms of its likeness to the workplace, to have people be doing jobs, I think that the problematic piece of that is that there's a really weird power dynamic. If I were to like make someone like forcibly like tell their life story in a podcast episode and then pay them for it, that would be like really weird and like exploitative. So I think that's like that's a really interesting like social contract that you have to co-construct via the person from Experience Craft was talking about building relationships. I think being able to have the space to have those meta conversations is so important, because from that will come the division of labor, I think.
I can share. I'll share. Hi, this is Nana from WellBar. We build scaffolds to help support how our youth are engaging, especially when it comes to collaborating with their educators. So there is more of that freedom for them to opt in to things that they feel a little bit more driven by. So this past year, we had a cohort of 5 educators who developed curriculum that centered sense of identity. And after they developed those like curriculum pieces where, again, like they've been working in this classroom space for like maybe 10 years, they understand all like the common core kind of like technicalities around like developing curriculum. We shared it with our youth to see which lesson plans they felt more connected to, so that they could take time to just like read through and then develop their own activities that kind of reflected how they would want to be engaged in the classroom space. And then we took time to have conversations about that. So I think it's like, yeah, I think like a lot of the youth today shared, it's like really just taking the time to like talk and check in, and also knowing when it's time to shift, rather than being the driving force, letting their voice kind of drive the direction you want to go in.
So may I give us the floor? So in Give Us the Floor, we have it's way more organized per role, and they have when they decide to become a facilitator or senior facilitator, we have a lot of conversation with them, and they have training, but they understand they take on a responsibility because they are facilitator of the group. We need them. They need to be there to help the other open up and talk. And so that's where really there's the I don't remember what word you use, but like the split of labors, the labor of facilitating is really on the shoulder of facilitators. Now they help with the adult team of adult advisors who have each of them has a extensive clinical mental health experience with youth at risk, and they intervene anytime the facilitators need to be supported, have a doubt, is a bit overwhelmed, and they have regular check-in, but they really they can't just become facilitator and then come whenever they want to facilitate the chat. When they take on the role, they really have to commit to a certain number of days and number of messages. But they know also that if it's too much, they can take a break at any moment, but they need to tell the team, the adult team before, so we can actually put somebody else as a facilitator in the group. So it's a bit of a different structure. And I would say the more they get, because after when they become senior facilitator and then when they become junior adult advisor, they have even more and more responsibility.
And just to add that more responsibility comes with more compensation.
Yeah, because they have compensation too. So I mean, the facilitator have community service hour, but when they get more, when they have more responsibility, they get some stipend, and in the case of the adult advisor, they get compensation.
This is so great. I feel like we're getting into like really incredible nuance, and it's so exciting to be in a space where like everybody in the room has thought about and like chewed on these questions before, and like seeing the ways that different teams in the Impact Studio have approached these things. Anyway, all that's to say, segue. We want to keep the conversation going, and we want to open up to breakout rooms. There we go. So we've prepped a few like what we think might be starter questions to make sure that the conversations keep rolling. They're on the screen there and they're in the chat. Some of it is like, what are you observing? You know, what has struck you as compelling so far? Or what are the ways that programs, whether programs that we've heard about or other folks who are in a breakout room, what are the unique assets and skills of young people that are getting to shine? Or the third one there, like, what is it that's uniquely possible because of the way that youth and adults are working together? Like, what is happening that young people couldn't do on their own, or adults couldn't do on their own? What's happening because of the way that these intergenerational collaborations are organized? And then what might you bring back? So these are just like prompts. Talk about them if you want. We hope that the conversations will evolve and grow from there. We've set up the breakout rooms with the hope of having 3 breakout rooms, 2 of the Impact Studio teams in each one. If we have misassigned you, just leave your room, come on back, and we'll pop you into the right room. But with that, we're going to open the rooms right now, and we'll bring you back with maybe 5 minutes left in the meeting. So you've got a good 20 or 22 minutes. Off you go.
Oh, wow. Okay, great to see everybody back. I hope y'all had as fantastic a conversation as we all had in our breakout group. And I'm sorry, Zion, we cut you off mid, amazing, insightful, like getting claps statement about the importance of, adults, connecting genuinely and not adult-splaining. And, I think Monica describing how we have to get past the, I had to go through that. So you have to go through that mindset of like walking to school in the snow or whatever it is that we lay on young people and cultivate a spirit of mutual respect. So I think I'm the closer of this session. It's hard to do justice to, how rich and deep a lot of these conversations are, and was just really gratified to see like the centering on youth voices and grappling with all these kind of complex power dynamics, but also the incredible potential and assets that youth bring to the table is, was one of the criteria that cut across all of the teams in the Impact Studio. And I think this conversation really demonstrated that you all are folks who are going beyond just checking the box of representation and really working with some of the more complex and nuanced sort of conversations about what it takes to really foster an ethic of care and connection and genuine shared purpose. Some of the conversation around, there are teams vary in how central mental health is to the core activity. But I think in all cases, what we're seeing is this wraparound support that is really going beyond that more transactional model of getting young people into a particular role or getting to do a particular job and disrupting some of those power dynamics like Bill was describing about being the boss and, really being, it feels like such a gift to be able to have a conversation that's really starting from a very not only theoretically engaged, but kind of understanding some of the nuances and the stickiness of what it means to, I think what Molly was describing about, is it a job or at what point is, do you create space versus what Valerie was describing as, insisting on responsibility and really just appreciating all the young people who showed up today to share your wisdom and, just the constant reminder that I think those of us who are getting a little older in life need to keep us optimistic and learning. I definitely, just as one of my learnings from the very first question that the young people laid in is, we used terms like leadership a lot in like our framing of this session. And I think everybody gave us like a gentle pushback saying, it's not really leadership, it's more collaborative community and it's more about facilitation. And so I think that is a personal learning I took back and sort of questioning some of my assumptions, at least about what leadership looks like and whether that's even the right term to describe some of what we're engaging with. So that's my very quick personal learning. And I think just before we wrap up, a few reminders on the next things. So I feel like y'all are probably getting a lot of emails from us, but we're hoping to stay in touch with you all through 2 different lists. Just, I know it can get confusing. So there's an email list specifically for the Connected Wellbeing Initiative. And there's also for the Connected Learning Alliance, which is sort of the broader community. There's a bi-weekly newsletter that goes out. I think it's in the chat how to sign up for those. But if you want to keep both of those communities in your inbox, please make sure to sign up so you know when the next events and when content comes out that we're releasing. And the most immediate next event is another event like this, where, again, we're trying to show care and community by offering coffee and treats. That was something that came up in our discussion group that Zion mentioned. So this will be another one that is really centered around the Impact Studio teams and lifting up your work and innovation. And we'll also have the community and coffee component. So that's our next August meeting, and you can go on our website to see the full list of monthly events that we hope we'll see y'all at. So thanks so much for joining us. It was really a great way to start the day. Really appreciate it.